Forget everything you know about safe driving. What you're about to face in the next few minutes aren't roads. They're the Earth's deathly scars. This is the moment your wheels are just a breath away from the abyss, on a road that's nothing more than a fragile tear. People call places like this nightmare routes. And when you see the smoking engines or the wheels being swallowed by mud, I think you'll understand why. Check your brakes one last time and buckle up. Because right now, we're about to embark on a journey to conquer the world's most dangerous roads, so treacherous they're considered real-life nightmares. Karnali Highway, Nepal. Located in the remote mountains of Nepal, the Karnali Highway stretches for about 200 kilometers, winding alongside sheer rock cliffs. On one side, barren rock faces. On the other, a deep chasm filled with red dust and loose rock. Many curves are so narrow that if your wheel slips just a few centimeters, your vehicle could plunge straight into the ravine. The dry season here fills the air with dust clouds as thick as fog. Every vehicle that speeds by leaves a screen of smoke, completely obscuring your vision. Come the rainy season, the danger is even more terrifying. Rocks and soil from the mountainside can slide down at any moment, making the road surface slick and extremely hard to control. The most haunting thing is that the people of Nepal still have to cross the Karnali every day to survive. It is this fragile balance between majestic beauty and ever-present danger that has made this one of the most terrifying yet captivating roads in the world. Papua Roads, Papua New Guinea. Amidst endless green fields and tropical rainforests, the roads of Papua New Guinea appear like gashes through a wilderness that's barely been tamed by humans. At first glance, the place is deceptively peaceful. However, after just a few tropical downpours, the entire road surface turns into a sea of thick, sticky mud. Your wheels can sink deep into the soft earth and murky water. In Papua, stalled vehicles are a common sight. Many sections are so muddy that drivers have to use ropes to pull their cars. Sometimes they even need help from locals just to get free. Seen from above, the Papua roads look like a lonely labyrinth in the middle of the mountains and forests. But the deeper you go, the more you realize this is no longer a simple exploration. It's a showdown between human courage and the raw, unforgiving power of nature. Katanga Road, Democratic Republic of Congo. You are now entering Katanga, home to a network of red dirt roads that many African drivers call a muddy hell. At an altitude of about 1,200 to 1,500 meters, you'll find roads just 6 meters wide, cutting through the tropical rainforest. They stretch for hundreds of kilometers, crossing the Congo's vast mining plateau. Under the wheels of heavy truck convoys, the ground is completely torn up. The landscape is so harsh, you won't believe it's real. When the rainy season arrives, the entire road can sink deep enough to swallow tires. Just one small mistake is enough to get you stranded in the jungle for days. The most haunting thing isn't the road itself. It's the people who have to cling to this place to survive. Due to the lack of stable public transportation, many people are forced to cram onto the roofs of cargo trains. It's the only way for them to travel between towns dozens of kilometers apart. Amazon BR319, Brazil. Back in the 1970s, the Brazilian government believed they could conquer the Amazon rainforest with a massive, nearly 900-kilometer road connecting Manaus to Porto Velho. They called it the BR319. But just a few years after it was completed, the jungle began to fight back. Tropical rains destroyed the road surface. Trees grew back thickly, as if trying to swallow the entire highway off the map. Today, the BR 319 still cuts through one of the wildest and most isolated regions on the planet. It's only about 5 to 7 meters wide, like a thin, fragile scar stretching endlessly. The deeper you go, the more you'll understand why locals say it's the road being swallowed by the jungle. There are stretches where you can drive for hundreds of kilometers without seeing a major town or getting any cell signal. The mud here is a trap that holds container trucks fast in the deep jungle. At times, entire convoys have had to sleep right on the road, waiting for bulldozers to pull them one by one through sections of melting earth. Black Bear Pass, USA. At an elevation of nearly 3,914 meters in the San Juan Mountains, Black Bear is known as one of the most terrifying passes in the United States. This road is only open for a few months each year due to snow and rockfalls. Though it's 13 kilometers long, many sections are only about 2.5 to 3 meters wide, just enough for a jeep to pass. The most frightening part is the series of switchbacks called the steps. You have to drive very slowly over loose gravel with absolutely no guardrails. If you look to the side, you'll see a sheer drop straight down into the Telluride Valley. Over the years, there have been quite a few incidents of vehicles plunging down the mountainside. The most famous was a 2014 accident when a Jeep lost control on a deadly curve near Bridal Veil Falls. Yet, the more dangerous it is, the more Black Bear Pass inspires off-road enthusiasts from all over America to conquer it. Because when you're between the rocks, waterfalls, and the edge of a cliff, you feel like you're driving on the final line between excitement and fear. Los Caracoles Pass, Chile, Argentina. Connecting Chile and Argentina, Los Caracoles Pass is an impressive sight, situated at an altitude of about 3,175 meters in the frigid Andes. Looking from above, you'll see 29 hairpin turns coiled tightly around the mountainside like a giant snake slithering through the cold, grey valley. Many curves are almost a full 180-degree turn. Grip the steering wheel tightly because you'll be forced to take these turns very slowly between cliffs covered in loose rock. In the winter, temperatures can drop below -10 degrees Celsius. Snow blankets all the mountains, creating a haunting sense of disorientation. Locals say that during major snowstorms, many truck drivers have to sleep in their cabs halfway up the mountain. There have even been convoys trapped for dozens of hours, unable to turn back. This route was built in the 20th century to open a transport line across the Andes between Chile and Argentina. To this day, convoys of container trucks still have to risk their lives crossing that deadly maze every day. Aranico Highway, Nepal. Not all highways are associated with smooth pavement and pleasant trips. In Nepal, the Aranico Highway is more like a giant construction site hanging in the middle of the Himalayas. Built in the 1960s to connect Nepal with China, this route now strains under the weight of thousands of vehicles every day. The dust, engine noise, and flow of traffic create a nightmare that stretches for over 100 kilometers. After the 2015 earthquake, many areas of the highway suffered severe landslides. The entire route gradually turned into a chaotic construction zone. Every morning, people still have to walk right on the edge of the road, amidst the echoing horns of container trucks. Meanwhile, roadside shops are always covered in a thick layer of brown dust. For the people of Nepal, Aranico is not just a transport route. It's the road to their livelihood, one they are forced to travel every day, even if a section of it might have just disappeared after a mountain rainstorm. Fairy Meadows Road, Pakistan. The people of Pakistan have a joke. If you survive the Fairy Meadows Road, the rest of the Himalayas will no longer scare you. And when you face it, you'll understand why they say that. Located in the Gilgit-Baltistan region of northern Pakistan, Fairy Meadows Road is about 15 kilometers long. The route leads to the base of Nanga Parbat, an 8,126-meter peak, one of the deadliest mountains on the planet. Many sections are just over 2 meters wide, barely enough for a local jeep to pass. On one side is a sheer cliff covered in loose rock. On the other is a drop of hundreds of meters with absolutely no barrier. There are turns that force you to steer right at the edge of the cliff. While below, a gaping void is the only thing there to greet you. Over time, Fairy Meadows has become a famous paradox. The more dangerous it is, the more it makes adventurers from all over the world desperate to conquer it. Chin Hills, Myanmar. In western Myanmar, near the Indian border, the Chin Hills appear as a wild labyrinth, torn apart by red dirt roads. There are no steel guardrails or smooth asphalt. Only narrow paths clinging tightly to the steep mountainsides. The ground under the road turns to clay-like mud after every heavy rain. Be extremely careful, because your wheels will slide along deep ruts for dozens of meters, while below lies a deadly drop. Some sections that have just experienced a landslide have to remain open, as this is the only connection between isolated villages and the outside world. The roads in the Chin Hills were first opened in the 20th century to connect the Chin communities living high in the mountains. Even so, to this day, the journey through this land still feels like a test of survival. Dhaka streets, Bangladesh. Located 4 meters above sea level, the capital of Bangladesh has a 3,000-kilometer road network, but only a mere 7% of its area is allocated for traffic. In Dhaka, you'll witness over 1 million colorful rickshaws jostling with old buses on narrow roads. Here, the brake is more important than the steering wheel, and patience is sometimes more valuable than gasoline. The 17th century Mughal-era infrastructure is completely overwhelmed by the population boom after 1971. Amidst the chaotic traffic, people constantly cross the street. They weave right in front of buses and rickshaws, trying to get to the other side amid the blare of horns from all directions. The danger comes not only from collisions, but most terrifyingly, from the silent nightmare. A sick person can even die in an ambulance because of the endless traffic jams. Siberian ice roads, Russia. In the Siberian wilderness, there's a strange transportation system called Zimnik. These are winter roads that cross the vast Sakha Republic. Not made of asphalt, this transport route is just a network of white ice tracks stretching for tens of thousands of kilometers. It snakes across frozen rivers like the Lena or the Kolyma. For your vehicle to drive safely, the ice must be at least 1 meter thick to withstand the record-breaking -60 degrees Celsius cold. Even then, danger is always present in the form of invisible cracks. Blizzards can also wipe out all visibility in just minutes. Drivers here follow a haunting unwritten rule: never wear a seatbelt. They are ready to open the cabin door and jump out if the ice gives way. Despite the cold and isolation, the taiga forest has an unbelievably surreal beauty. A white world that is both mesmerizing and a test of the limits for any brave traveler. Devil's Backbone, USA. If you're looking for a true Western-style nightmare, come to the Devil's Backbone, Route 32 in the Texas Hill Country, USA. This 20-kilometer road rises and falls bizarrely along a limestone ridge at an altitude of 400 meters. Many sections have no guardrails at all, while the hairpin turns are right on the edge of the Wimberley Valley. You'll understand why it's called the Devil's Backbone as soon as your wheels start climbing. Every curve blocks the view ahead, as if giving you no chance to correct a mistake. Paved in the mid-20th century over an old trail, the route still retains its steep inclines and dangerous slipperiness. Tragic motorcycle accidents happen frequently, serving as a warning. Carelessness on the Devil's Backbone always comes at a high price. Karakoram Highway, Pakistan and China. Nicknamed the Bloody Silk Road, the Karakoram Highway is a winding route of over 1,300 kilometers connecting Pakistan and China. At an altitude of 4,714 meters at Kunjarab Pass, it's considered the highest paved road on the planet. It clings to the sheer cliffs of the three most majestic mountain ranges in the world. Hold your breath and grip the steering wheel. Your tires are hugging the edge of a breathtakingly narrow road. Right next to you, a deep abyss with no guardrails looms like a death trap. The entire route is fraught with danger. The cliffs are unstable and can collapse at any moment. Falling rocks can even pierce the roof of your car, like bullets from the sky. In 2010, the Atabad disaster caused a whole section of the highway to disappear in just minutes. The mountain collapsed into the valley, burying the road under a massive amount of water and rock. Khao Kok Cha Pass, Vietnam. Before you now is one of the most terrifying passes in the northern mountains of Vietnam. This is Kishtwar-Killar, a road known by drivers as the 15 levels of hell. The pass doesn't curve gently, but coils like a giant spring clinging to a vertical cliff. It's only about 2.5 kilometers long, but it has 15 extremely sharp zigzag turns that follow one after another without a break. The road is so narrow that you have to steer constantly just to get through the turns safely. On one side is a towering cliff. On the other is a gaping abyss shrouded in mountain mist. But the nightmare only truly begins when you go downhill. Be extremely careful, because the brake system can overheat and smoke from the extreme incline. Upgraded from a 40-centimeter wide trail from the French colonial era, the modern pass completed in 2009 was a mountain-carving miracle that ended the isolation of Juan-Truong commune. Locals often say, until you've crossed Kishtwar-Killar, you don't really know what it's like to drive in the borderlands. Kishtwar-Killar Road, India. At an altitude of over 2,500 meters in the Himalayan region of India, the Kishtwar-Killar Road appears as a massive gash carved straight into a vertical cliff face. There's no smooth asphalt. The only thing that greets you is a rugged, rocky road over 100 kilometers long, suspended between the mountain and a deep chasm. With a width of only 2.5 meters, this road is truly an extreme psychological test for anyone. Look to your left, and you'll see a treacherous cliff. Look to your right, and you'll face a 1,000-meter deep abyss, looking down on the Chandrabhaga River. Drivers passing through here always hold their breath at the waterfalls crashing directly onto the road or the menacing sound of falling rocks. Just a split-second mistake on the muddy surface, and the vehicle will be thrown into the raging river below. It is this extreme danger that has made Kishtwar-Killar one of the most haunting journeys in India. At the same time, it's a destination that makes adventurers defy the risks to conquer it at least once in their lifetime. Nairobi Urban Roads, Kenya. Welcome to Nairobi, Kenya, where traffic is more like a fight for survival than a daily commute. At an altitude of nearly 1,800 meters, this city is a chaotic maze of modern highways, vehicle-packed streets, and dusty, potholed roads. Everything here will keep you on edge. Streetlights are nearly useless in many areas. Dust can blur your entire windshield. And sometimes, wild animals from the national park unexpectedly appear amidst the chaotic, speeding traffic. The most feared icon of Nairobi is the matatu. These are minibuses covered in neon lights and high-powered speakers, shaking the very ground they drive on. Matatu drivers are famous for their unbelievably reckless driving. They will squeeze through gaps of just a few centimeters, cut off other cars, or drive into oncoming traffic in a packed lane. New Delhi, India. If you want to know what it feels like to drive inside a glass box filled with smog, come to New Delhi, India. At an altitude of about 215 meters, this city is a chaotic collision of massive boulevards and narrow alleys just wide enough for two cars to squeeze past each other. The biggest nightmare is on the 50-kilometer-long Ring Road. Here, luxury cars fight for every small space with tuk-tuks, while motorcycles and pedestrians intersect in a chaotic mess. The scariest time is winter. Thick smog often causes the AQI pollution index to exceed 1,000. Visibility can sometimes drop to less than 5 meters. New Delhi was planned in 1912 to showcase the power of the British Empire. But more than a century later, that system is struggling to cope with millions of vehicles every day. Amidst the deafening horns and the never-stopping flow of traffic, the way this city moves creates a level of stress that very few cities in the world can match. Gabon Roads, Gabonese Republic. Running through the Crystal Mountains, the national highways in Gabon are like red gashes cutting across the African rainforest. Of the country's more than 9,000 kilometers of roads, less than 10% are paved. The rest is just mud, rockfalls, and jungle that is gradually swallowing every path. The real nightmare lies in the mud pits, up to 1.5 meters deep. They can swallow an entire heavy-duty truck in just a few minutes. Be careful, because you're driving on roads that are constantly hit by landslides. Fallen trees make the path so narrow that it's just wide enough for a single vehicle to squeeze through. This road system was opened during the French colonial era to transport valuable timber. However, for decades, humans have failed against the power of the tropical rainforest. Getting stuck in the jungle for weeks is not uncommon. Some drivers even have to build temporary shelters and hunt for food to survive while waiting for the road to be cleared. Simpson Desert, Australia. In the middle of Australia's fiery red outback lies a route that many off-roaders call a true nightmare, the French Line. This track cuts straight through the Simpson Desert, home to the longest parallel sand dunes on the planet. The French Line was opened in the 1960s by French oil exploration teams. Today, it has become a harsh survival test for any off-road vehicle. To cross this area, you have to climb over 1,100 red sand dunes 20 to 40 meters high in summer heat that often exceeds 50 degrees Celsius. That brutal temperature can lead to exhaustion in just a few hours. But the most dangerous thing is the blind crests of the dunes ahead. You can't know if another vehicle is approaching from the opposite direction. Therefore, vehicles are required to mount a 3-meter-high sand flag to provide a warning from a distance and avoid head-on collisions. No cell service, no towns, just the sound of the wind and a feeling of isolation that stretches for hundreds of kilometers, making the French line one of Australia's most grueling journeys. Khardungla Pass, India. Located in the Ladakh region of India, Khardungla Pass rises to an altitude of over 5,300 meters, known as one of the highest motorable roads in the world. The pass was built in 1976 to supply the Siachen battlefield. Hundreds of workers had to labor in extreme oxygen-deprived conditions amidst ice and relentless snowstorms. Throughout the nearly 40-kilometer journey, you'll constantly face sharp turns that hug the edge of the cliff. Some sections are so narrow that your wheels seem to be floating in mid-air. Confident in your driving skills, don't celebrate too soon, because the real danger comes from the altitude of Khardungla itself. Here, the oxygen level is only about half of what it is at sea level. Many drivers are forced to leave the summit within 20 minutes to avoid the risk of cerebral edema or respiratory failure. People have passed out right behind the wheel, while many other vehicles have been completely buried under snow walls up to 4 meters high. Khardungla is not just a road. It's a survival test in the Himalayan sky for the toughest drivers on the planet. BR 116, Brazil. If you're a thrill seeker, the BR 116 in Brazil will make any normal road trip seem way too safe. This is a national highway more than 4,400 kilometers long that runs along the coast of South America. It's known throughout the Brazilian travel community by the nickname the Highway of Death. As you enter the mountainous region near Curitiba, the road begins to wind around sheer cliffs. The most terrifying section is Serra do Cafezal. The road is narrow, full of potholes, and has almost no median strip. Just centimeters from your wheels is a drop of hundreds of meters. Chain reaction accidents happen almost every week on the BR 116. Many truck drivers have to drive through the night under intense pressure to make deliveries, while roadside robberies and crime make the journey even more stressful. Cotahuasi Canyon Road, Peru. Hidden in the Peruvian Andes, the Cotahuasi Canyon is 3,354 meters deep, nearly twice as deep as the Grand Canyon. Meanwhile, the road on its mountainside sits at an altitude of over 4,500 meters above sea level. Each hairpin turn, less than 2.5 meters wide, brings your wheels dangerously close to the edge of the abyss. One small driving mistake is more than enough for everything to disappear into the void below. The most frightening thing is the sense of disorientation at the extreme altitude of the Andes. The thin air will quickly exhaust you with every heavy breath. This road originated from an ancient Inca trail. To this day, it remains a vital transportation route for the entire mountain region. Route 500, Canada. Route 500, also known as the Trans-Labrador Highway, is one of Canada's most isolated roads. It runs through the remote wilderness of Labrador, where coniferous forests, frozen lakes, and white snow stretch to the horizon. The road was built in the 1980s to serve the mining industry and connect Arctic communities. To this day, a journey through here still feels like a trip to the end of the world. For over 500 kilometers, you'll see almost no signs of life. No towns, no gas stations, no cell service. Just an endless road cutting through a cold and eerily silent nature. And if your car breaks down in a blizzard, things will quickly become a survival nightmare for you. That's why, when you start, you're given a free satellite phone. It's the only lifeline in a land where the cold can freeze a body in just an hour. Zojila Pass, India. Situated at an altitude of over 3,500 meters in the Himalayas, Zojila Pass is a vital route connecting Kashmir with the cold region of Ladakh. But for many drivers, it's more of a survival challenge than a regular road. Throughout the 9-kilometer pass, you'll see almost no asphalt or protective barriers. The dirt and rock path under your wheels clings to the mountainside, just wide enough for a truck to squeeze through. After every rain or ice melt, the road surface quickly turns into a slick layer of mud. Every turn of the wheel feels like you're gambling with your life on the edge of a cliff. Massive snowdrifts tens of meters thick can come down unexpectedly and bury entire convoys in a flash. Many people have disappeared in blizzards before rescue teams could reach them. It is this harshness that has made Zojila one of the most terrifying roads in the Himalayas. This is where nature always reminds you that with just one small mistake, the abyss won't give you a second chance. James W. Dalton Highway, USA. Are you craving a journey that pushes the limits of isolation? The Dalton Highway in Alaska is the challenge for you. This 666-kilometer-long road cuts through the taiga forest and the frigid Brooks Range like a lonely gray scar across the desolate Arctic north. More than 3/4 of the route is just sharp gravel. Every kilometer can shred your tires or destroy your suspension system at any moment. One of the most terrifying sections is Atigan Pass, at 1,444 meters high. The slippery slope, covered in black ice, has a gradient of up to 12%, enough to make heavy trucks slide sideways in a blizzard. Throughout the journey, you'll only see a few tiny settlements. There are even stretches nearly 400 kilometers long with no gas stations, cell signal, or any sign of human life. The Dalton Highway was built at lightning speed in 1974 to service the Trans-Alaska Pipeline. Today, it has become a legendary route for heavy-duty truck drivers with a simple but terrifying rule: yield or be crushed. The vast world is full of harsh challenges, where the line between danger and magnificent beauty is just a hand's breadth away. Among the places mentioned, which road terrified you the most? Or have you ever conquered a different nightmare road yourself? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss the next heart-stopping journeys. See you next time.